The What to Next podcast helps you build a TBR of future favorite books. In each episode, Lori and Maine interviews authors and book influencers to recommend books they loved for you to pick up today. If you're an avid reader, always looking for your next great read, then the show. Hi, Ashley. Welcome to What to Next podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me.
So happy to have you here. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us what you've been up to, because you've been a frequent guest to the show.
Yes. Okay, so what I've been up to is I've been writing a whole lot. I have 3 books out this year, but I'm here today for The 7-Year Slip. It is my next adult rom-com, and it is about a overworked publicist who inherits her late aunt's magical time-traveling apartment, and she falls in love with a chef 7 years in the past.
Okay, so we gotta talk about this book, because it was actually Carly Fortune mentioned your book and said it's like, if you like Meet Me at the Lake, you should read The 7-Year Slip, because there's some similarities. And so I'm gonna talk about this book, what was the source of inspiration, what, because your books have a little magical realism to them. There's a little bit, it's not paranormal, but it's just a little sprinkle magic,
Yeah, I like towing the line with fabulism a little bit, because I think, well, for me personally, just straight contemporary romances don't keep my interest when I'm writing them. I can read them all day long, but when I'm writing them, I'm like, what if time travel? Or what if magic? Or what if ghosts?
Yeah. Yeah, you had a ghost story for the Dead Romantics, and so now we just go time traveling. So what was the process of writing this book? Because you have to think about different timelines and different places, and
Mm-hmm. It was a lot of trial and error. This book was very, very hard to write for a lot of different reasons. I've never done a time travel book before. I'm never going to do a time travel book again. It was real difficult to keep the timeline straight. I ended up doing this Post-it note board where I had to use a string and connect the dots of everything that I've done and what goes where. And that was actually kind of fun. But I ended up writing this book 3 different times over the course of last year. Because I kept not getting Clementine's voice exactly right. And I wasn't sure what she wanted in her life and what she what was her goal. And but finally Clementine manifested in the final draft, and I'm like, you are wonderful, and you are just so much like me. I used to work in publishing as well. I was a marketing designer, so a lot of the stories are not super true, but they're true adjacent.
You're I know the industry, but I'm not going to give you the insight, but I'm going to give you a little bit,
Yeah, and obviously I towed the line between something that's unbelievable in publishing and would never happen, because this is an unlikely romance. And so I was well, I think I can do a few kind of outlandish things. Yeah. And just make them fun. So yeah, there's a few instances where in real life that would not happen in publishing. But in my world, it does.
I love this. And so what are the other releases you have? Let's just talk about that. You might as well.
Gosh. Okay. The first one is a Buffy prequel novel. I am writing Tara McClay, and
oh my God.
I'm so excited. I have been a Buffy fan my entire life. And I remember being 10 and watching the show at my Oma and Opa's back when they were taking care of me after school. And it's wild. It's wild. I love it so much. And then in October, because this podcast is going to release after that, after it's announced. But so I'm writing a Marvel book. I wrote a Kate Bishop novel.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Thank you. It's called Bishop Takes King. It has Kate Bishop going up against the one and only Kingpin. And it obviously has our favorite best friend in it, Pizza Dog, but also it has America in it. And I love Kate and America's friendship, and I am so happy I got to write it. But yeah, so that's the kind of secret one.
Oh my gosh, congratulations on these projects. Like those are amazing. I feel like that's like it's like having fun, like a playful, fun time writing, you know?
I had a ball writing both because I'm a huge advocate for fanfic. So I've been writing fanfic my entire life, and so this is just professional fanfic, and it felt the exact same. And I hope it kind of reads like fanfic because I get the most joy from fanfic. So I wanted to put as much joy as I could into these books.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. I'm so looking forward to the Buffy one. Like I, because Buffy, like Buffy, Dawson's Creek, what else? Felicity, those were the shows. Like the WB was the place to be when you're if
It
you're a
was,
teenager.
especially for like up and coming millennials, like that we had that on loop.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, so let's chat some book recommendations. So, do you have any books to recommend your listeners to pick up?
I do. Okay, first off, I want to recommend Mrs. Nash's Ashes by Sarah Adler. It's a lovely contemporary romance with humor and heart, and it has pigeons. And if you read The 7-Year Slip, you know I love some good pigeons. It's funny, it's sexy, it's steamy. It's coming out at the end of May, so like read it. You have to read it. It's so good. Let's see here. I also want to recommend Shot in the Dark by Victoria Lee. It's not out yet, and it probably won't be out for another few months, but it's swoony and dark and edgy and exactly what my queer heart was looking for. It's moi, everything that I love about Victoria's writing. They are fantastic. Speaking of auto buys, anything by Rebecca Weatherspoon, you just can't go wrong with any of Rebecca's books, especially if you're looking for something like kind of like off the beaten path and like really like sexy and sensual. Rebecca Weatherspoon is where it's at. Also, she has an upcoming YA coming out called Her Good Side. I am so excited for that too. It's going to be really fun. Let's see here. What else? I also recommend A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. I just recently finished the books that are released and translated from French, but it's a slow burn fantasy. The world building is wild and so cool. It's like a fantasy dystopian almost. It's so much fun, especially if you like the really, really, really slow burns. Like it takes like a book and a half for them to even touch slow burn.
Gosh, I'm excited for this.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, Miss Wilbur, fantasy slash dystopian, you know.
Right? It's just like say those words and I'm like, yes, I will try it. It is the weirdest combination, and usually it is always the most imaginative, right?
Yeah.
And my last book recommendation is it's a manga actually. It's called Life Lessons with Uramechi Onisan by Gazu Kuze. I'm a sucker for dark millennial humor, and this magic absolutely makes me laugh, sob like every time I read a new volume. It's so much fun. It's about a man who is the athletics coordinator for this children's TV show, and like the children come on and he's like, let's do our calisthenics. It's funny because they roast him, and it's so good. It's just like it's fantastic. I love it so much. I'm trying not to give too much away because most of like the really good jokes are just like in the setup. It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I'm adding this one, pumping that up in the TBR. And I have to ask you the last book you read because I'm actually interested in this book, The Breakup Pact by Emma Lord. Tell us all about it. Is it good? Is it another Emma Lord goodness that
Emma Lord is like my quintessential auto buy ever since Tweet Cute. I love Emma Lord so much and everything that she does, but this book was magical. Think of your favorite Taylor Swift song and amplify it up to like 100. It's like swoony, it's sensual, it's heartbreaking, but it has a happy ending. And like by the end, I was like crying happy tears. It was everything that I wanted from like a breezy summer beach read.
Oh my gosh, I am very excited. And I'm sad that I have to wait till January for it to come out. It's just like
I know.
I know like it's a given. Like January is like a dreaded, month after holidays and stuff like that. But we have an Emma Lord usually every January coming out, since Tweet Cute. And they all are like 5-star hits, you know.
They really are. Like Emma just knocks it out of the ballpark every time. And I love the relationships between the two main characters and all of like the secondary cast. Oh, it's so good. It makes me want to eat all of the scones, put them all in my mouth and run away.
I love this. All right, so tell us where you can find you online.
You can find me online on Twitter at @Poston, but I'm not sure how much longer Twitter is going to be a thing. So you can also find me on TikTok and Instagram at Hey Ash Poston, because someone is sitting on my username.
It is so good. Thank you for being in the show.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
If you enjoyed this podcast, feel free to share with friends, subscribe, rate, and review the show. This is the easiest way to support the podcast. For a list of books mentioned and other book recommendations, please visit whattoreadnextblog.com. Thank you so much for listening and happy reading.